I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite
podcast
on the Citadel.
Hey, it's the Andromenerds, which at one point was the #1 Mass Effect podcast on the internet.
I think it still is.
I think it still is.
But it's not the #1 podcast if you don't do a podcast for a long time.
Who signed that rules?
Shit. Is it not true?
Do you know of any other Mass Effect podcast currently going, Mini?
Welcome to Andromenerds, the only Mass Effect podcast on the internet. My name is Minius of Minius GC, and with me are my co-hosts, Tucker from Mass Effect Follower.
No. I'm a BioWare Follower now.
Fuck!
Hey!
I've read it right off the script. All right, let me.
And the thing is, I knew you were going to make that mistake. I waited.
Should I? I'm just going to re-say it.
No, why? Keep it going. This is good.
Fine.
People miss
like
this high quality stuff that we produced here.
The high quality garbage that and the one and only BioFan.
Hi.
At least you're not the Mass Effector. Which might be the Mass Effector. And you'd have to change your name entirely.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's BioFan. What's up?
So we haven't done a podcast for a while. What the fuck happened?
Do you want to take turns? Story
time?
Yeah,
it has to start with you, BioFan, because you were actually doing something real.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when Mass Effect Andromeda came out, like a few days before it came out, I had surgery. So I was kind of like down for the count for a few weeks. But then like, I don't know, like with Mass Effect stuff and how the game went, I wasn't too inspired to do videos and stuff. And I had a lot of school stuff going on.
Yeah, like
crazy amount of schoolwork going on, like ridiculous. So I was trying to focus on that and do good grades. What did you say?
You're like studying to become a doctor. You're trying to get into med school?
Well, I'm pre-med, and also I'm doing the creative writing thing. I'm a bit complicated. Basically, if I get a job writing video games, then I won't become a doctor. If I don't get a job writing video games, then I'll be... Wait, what?
Hold on to that bio.
Did you just confuse yourself in mid-sentence?
I think,
I'm impressed.
It's been a long day. But so basically, if I get hired to write video games, I'll write video games. If I don't, then I like
how your backup is be a doctor and have lots of money. That's your backup.
Yeah, that video game writing thing doesn't work out. I could be a doctor.
I should be like a rock star astronaut instead of a video game writer.
So school stuff was pretty rough. And then, I don't know, I just wasn't, like... For me, Mass Effect Andromeda was an okay game. It was a good game, but it wasn't like a great game. It wasn't a game that I was like, I'm going to make videos on this, yeah! Like, it was just kind of like, all right, yeah, it's not terrible. It's all right. I enjoyed my time, but it wasn't like, oh, yeah, this is great! It wasn't my BioWare standard, I should say. So, I don't know. I just wasn't very enthused to do videos on it, and then I've started back up with Anthem now, because I do BioWare in general.
I want to point out that when you made that noise, I imagined you full blasting the song Pump Up the Jam while just like flailing your arms around. I don't know why.
How do you know what I do on weekends, Tucker?
That's insightful, man. I don't want to know what you do on weekends, man. I'm gonna end up vomiting or something.
So, Minius, why haven't you made anything in a while?
I've had some stuff going on, basically, and I know there are probably people who have similar issues, but it's not particularly entertaining, is that I suffer from manic depression. So I go up and down a lot, and I hit a very bad spell, which happens from time to time, and it's not fun, and is actually really boring.
I don't think really depression is much known for its excitingness.
It's really like you want to you know how there aren't really any good stories about depression? It's because it's boring. So I've been doing like the bare minimum, haven't been feeling great. I want to get back into things, which is one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast again. Although this is going to be the last Andromenerds. More on that later.
What?
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 We're gonna
you dropping it on us now, and then deciding to talk about it later. I think all our listeners are like, Minius, wait, explain.
See, so I'm all over the place. and that's why I haven't been doing videos. This is also called like being normal for Tucker. I can't handle being like Tucker, but Tucker's totally cool with it.
What'd I do?
Don't worry about it, Tucker.
I was looking, there's a video titled The History of the Star Wars Universe, and it's only 6 minutes long. I don't believe that.
Of course he's looking at videos.
So anyway,
it would not be a proper Andromenerds unless Tucker was looking at videos while we record.
Yeah, I want to get back into the swing of thing. I'm hoping the podcast will do it. And like we mentioned, this is going to be the last Andromenerds podcast because we are kind of switching it up a little bit. But there is going to be a podcast with the three of us.
What? Yes.
And it's going to come out regularly.
It's going to be the same thing like Andromenerds. It's a different name.
I'd like to say we're going to stay on a topic, but we can't do that. It's literally impossible with one of our guests.
You mean one of our co-hosts?
You're a guest now, Tucker.
Oh. Okay.
He's been downgraded.
Instead of being a co-host, you get to be the number one guest.
Woohoo!
And we're going to call it
the number one is something.
You're going to need a graphic for this. The BioWare podcast.
Dun, dun, dun!
It's going to help keep you bio-aware of BioWare because they do stuff. Very complicated company. But anyway, we want to talk about Mass Effect Andromeda for a while because we obviously haven't gotten together to do that for a while. So this series is in a very weird spot.
There's also what happened with my channel.
But you just did stuff. Fine,
well,
take it over. You're actually producing stuff. Story time.
Yeah, I mean,
but not guys, that kind of story time.
Well, you guys weren't doing stuff. I was doing stuff.
See?
And I changed my name. It's no longer Mass Effect Follower. It is now BioWare Follower, and this allows us to cover other things like Anthem and Baldur's Gate. And
Baldur's
Secret
Gate
can now do Dragon Age.
Holy shit.
You're covering Baldur's Gate?
You're covering Baldur's Gate? Badass.
What?
Tips and tricks from 94.
You know
Isn't that game older than you guys?
That's
quite
the
possible.
same age as me, actually. It's like a couple months younger than me.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Hold on.
I'm the same age as BioWare. What's up?
When did Baldur's Gate?
You know what? That's creepy.
I was happening when Baldur's Gate came out.
Like when they were celebrating their 20th anniversary, I was like, I recently celebrated the 20th anniversary of my birth. That's interesting.
That's creepy.
Yeah,
when they were...
Yeah, no, I was still happening when BioWare.
When they were conceived, you were conceived. That's not creepy at all. All right. So BioWare podcast.
I guess you could say there's some pretty good banging going on.
Yeah.
Let's not.
Very special. It's not going to be called the BioTube. Is that BioTubers?
Okay, that was my idea. I'll admit. Apparently, it was awful. Sorry.
So far, we think we're going to go twice a month, unless you guys are ridiculously entertained.
Or there's like a ton of shit that happens or something.
Yeah, it really depends on the interest and if there's stuff to talk about. But we should get going and try to prevent some kind of long delay. I think I'm feeling a bit better, so I can get moving. And plus, if we get BioFan on, I think this show does not happen without BioFan. That's what we realized. It doesn't.
How's it going? Thank you. I feel like, so loved.
Like Tucker and I was like, we should do something, and then neither of us like contacted the other again for like a week. And like, oh, we should still try to do something, and then that was it.
Like, the commitment is what you're saying.
I've also been that kind of like loser kid that keeps going, guys, we should do something.
Yeah, and then I'm like, cool, let's do something, and then that's the conversation. That's it. So this is us actually doing something, trying to get a little bit going.
It looks, and also our in the comments of the videos, people were asking like, where's the podcast? So
yeah, people
you
were
guys
asking
apparently
about
still
us,
want
so.
it.
Do one of you guys want to tweet something about the podcast?
Sure,
on it.
I'll tweet it from the podcast Twitter account from the last I haven't tweeted from that account forever.
This is what we call phenomenal radio. Anyway, this was still is, for the remainder of the show, a Mass Effect podcast. And one of the reasons it's no longer a Mass Effect podcast is, Mass Effect is going to... where is Mass Effect going from here?
I think there's still going to be DLC, but it is very possible that the game is on hold.
Cordy, you guys probably read the Kotaku article on the downsizing of course, downsizing after producing a game. That happens with every game, pretty much, right? But probably not to the degree.
This was like significant downsizing according to that article.
Yeah, I actually I don't know if we can talk about this. Was it Tucker? Who were you tweeting with? You literally asked people, "Is there going to be DLC?" And the answer you got from BioWare people was, "I can't answer that."
Oh shit! That was I think it was Mike Gamble.
No, it wasn't Mike Gamble.
Oh, it was Peter Fraser.
Ian Fraser?
Ian Fraser.
I thought you said Peter.
Ian Fraser?
Yeah, it was Ian Fraser.
It was Ian Fraser is who he was tweeting.
Yeah, and the thing is that we can't talk about that right now instead of a nah.
I would go the other way. If there's going to be DLC, just say yes. Like, why wouldn't you say yes?
I think that
the fact that you're saying, like, hey, let's continue the series might sell copies of it. Why wouldn't you say yes? What the hell kind of secret is that?
I think that they're just kind of like, because the pot was stirred so heavily, that they're just kind of like stepping away out of the kitchen and letting it do its thing, you know?
And also,
wait, what does that mean?
That means that they're not trying to be like, yes, there's going to be DLC. No, there's not going to be DLC. Like, they're trying to just leave it so it doesn't get any better. I mean, they're trying to just leave it so it doesn't get any worse, you know? So just kind of let it be. So
let the internet and idiots like me speculate? That's better?
Well, I feel like if they say there'll be DLC, there will be anger and stuff in the community. If they say there will not be DLC, there'll be anger and stuff in the community. It's a no-win situation.
So by doing nothing, then there's not any anger?
Yes. Well, there's less.
Are you sure?
The
internet sucks, man.
It does.
It's like the best and the worst place in the world. It's awful. I'm not sure there will. I mean, like, or if there is DLC, or what are they doing?
Korean DLC.
I don't think there will be be DLC personally. Just from like what I've seen so far, I don't think it's gonna be.
I agree. Oh,
because I don't think that there will be. Personally,
I'm still on it that there will be.
So while we're in, just in case you think Tucker can't predict anything, Tucker, we owe you a crown, by the way.
Haha!
Oh, we're still doing the crowns? Okay.
Well, we never gave him the dad crown for the dad in Mass Effect Spoilers dying, which was the lamest crown we've ever done, because I think all of us would have picked Tucker's thing, but we had to go in order, and Tucker went first and took the dad dying early. And hey, it did. So congratulations, Tucker. You get a crown. Go ahead and put a crown on your head. From now on, we will not be doing crowns like that. Whether or not there'll be DLC, that's a better crown.
I'm pretty sure there will be, and going another step further, it will be the Korean Arc DLC.
So BioFan and I are pretty sure there's not going to be a DLC. Mr. Tucker is very positive and thinks there will.
I would love DLC personally. Like, I would like to play some DLC. I think that would be fun. I really like my Ryders and would like to see some like stuff happen. You know, because there was lots of storylines that were left kind of open and not ended.
Every storyline was left open. I mean, lots of. I like. Remember? So we got together the last time. Only time we've seen each other was when we played the game. Played the first, 10, 15 hours of it. Of course, BioFan tried to blitz the whole game and beat it.
He did.
From what we played of it, I did not know that I was that close to the ending. If I had maybe 2 or 3 more hours, I could have beaten the game.
Yeah.
And we did not have a lot of time to play it. I went through that thing.
I played the first part, and they're like, ooh, what is this interesting cloud thing? I don't know what that is. Ooh, who built these vaults? What are these vaults for? Ooh, I still don't know.
What happened to your mother?
I still don't know.
Well,
what
that
happened to
we
my mother?
kind of know.
Really? She's frozen, right? Okay.
How about who the fuck is the Benefactor?
Literally do not know.
No idea.
I hope it's a Geth.
There was one thing, and maybe I've played all the side quests, but I don't know. I don't remember this being in the game, but I remember in an interview, I think it was like New York Comic Con, Mac Walters said like there was one person that didn't like volunteer to go to Andromeda or something. We never met that person. We never met that person. I'm curious who that person
I'm pretty sure the
would
mom
be.
didn't.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That'd be hilarious if she's like, right before she's done, take me with Andromeda. Put me in the freezer.
I guess that would count as the person. I stand corrected. Good point.
Theoretically,
Minius.
right? She's in a coma.
Yeah. Theoretically, she didn't shoot. Well, it's complicated. Like, but I guess technically she didn't choose to. I don't know.
Thank God for sci-fi, because if your like dying wife was dying and you put her in a freezer, you'd be all kinds of arrested. That's creepy.
Well, it's a freezer that you can unfreezer.
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't work so well for one of the siblings.
Well, when you hit the Scourge...
I'm just talking shit,
which we
dude.
still don't really know how that worked exactly, but whatever.
Like, that's the other... we don't really know how a lot of the technology works.
We didn't really know how the Scourge worked too well. We just knew that, like, you touch it, you die, so don't touch it.
Kind of? Yeah.
So I'm just now, because I've been playing a lot of Injustice 2, I'm just imagining the dad having the same story arc as Mr. Freeze.
It's close to it, isn't it? It's damn close to it. I don't know what his story arc is in Injustice 2, but like back from the cartoon, which also might be older than you guys. Holy shit.
You feeling old today, Minius?
I'm not that young.
I know. But that cartoon is like the Batman the Animated Series, probably the best animated.
I remember watching
series.
it when I was a kid.
I was watching that.
It ran for a long time.
How old do you think we are?
5 and 7.
Oh, okay, that's
Am
close.
I the 7-year-old?
Yes. You're the mature one.
Let me see when it like debuted. Hold on.
I think the animated series was 92.
Oh, okay. So it began like the month of my birth.
Again, you're conceived, by the way, with some awesome stuff.
I've conceived alongside some pretty awesome stuff, yeah. Let me see. Episode 1 started September 10th, 1994, and I was born like 2 months later.
No. So right there. Okay. I'm overestimating it, but to trying to get back on topic, speaking of freezing things, it appears that, and of course... Tucker may not agree with this, that they are freezing the Andromeda franchise.
Or I guess you could say they're giving it the cold shoulder.
They're giving it the cold shoulder. They're shutting it down. It's kind of interesting because looking into this, we were talking about this frequently because all three of us were covering the game and probably as in tune with the marketing as anybody out there, period, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were flummoxed that there wasn't more marketing, right? I'm not the only one. I remember talking about that many times.
But I wanna mention that I think that the future games are on ice, like on hold until they decide to go back to it. I think there will be DLC, but that the future games are on hold.
So you're pretty sure there's not going to be future. At least I think Andromeda is not going to be. We're not going to be going back to Andromeda.
You think it's going to be
they
like...
They might pull something else.
Because they almost did First Contact War, so do you think they're just going to do the Milky Way thing, but do, like, non-reboot related?
I have a really good idea for a game, which we should save for a future show.
Okay.
Where we could all come up with a pitch for a new Mass Effect game. And then
are you ready for that? That is my class every month, pitch a game.
Okay, then we get to pitch a Mass Effect game.
Yeah.
But don't pull it out of your ass. Oh, you're going to do it anyway. Whatever. I'm going to tell you how to do a segment on this show.
I mean, you could give me time to prepare one, but okay.
Are you ready for this? I will create PowerPoints. I will do a 5-minute pitch.
Awesome if you want to. But
of a Mass Effect game.
That's coming up.
I will list mechanics. I will list relatable games.
You'll probably go more into it than us, yeah. But
I will take all of my knowledge I've learned from my bachelor's and master's degree in game design and pitch this game.
Cool.
So can I say a thing?
Yeah.
So usually,
cut us off.
Or at least in the past, the way it's been is they have teams working on whatever franchise they're working on, and when that installment's done, they have people go on to the next installment on it. It may switch out folks on it, except for maybe like the leads. So the fact that they've kind of pulled that part of it means that if there is another Mass Effect, it'll be like a long time from now, because there's nobody working on it right now.
Here's possibly a controversial take. I think that's the right call.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's absolutely the right call based on where the community is right now. You want to be able to hold on to the Mass Effect brand. It's worth something. It's not. You don't want to do what a lot of think of the Fantastic Four franchise. They keep on putting out movies. Those movies are garbage. That franchise isn't worth anything.
Aren't they rebooting it again?
They're going to probably try. I mean, cause
I do have an idea of how they could kind of bridge the revival.
Fantastic
not
Four.
Of Fantastic Four, of Mass Effect.
Fantastic Four goes into the alternate Mass Effect dimension, and Mr. Fantastic is like,
so
whoa, there are Reapers here.
So what they could do, I'm not saying like now or like anytime soon, maybe like after Anthem or after Dragon Age 4, maybe do like the remastered Mass Effect trilogy, because people still love the Mass Effect trilogy. So I think if they remastered the Mass Effect trilogy, that might be a way to kind of see years from now where people are with the series, and if it's still something that would be profitable, or at least as profitable as EA wanted it to be. Because when you look at this, when you look at how much it actually made, like, it wasn't like they didn't sell any copies. It's just that EA expected it to be like the best-selling game ever just off of its name, you know? So I'm
not sure they did.
Well, they expected to make like, was it like $9 billion or something?
Yeah.
And it only made like $3 billion. So
not billion.
Or
yeah,
is it? I thought it was billion, not million, because they spent like $40 million
Grand
on
Theft
it.
Auto got like $1 billion, and that was amazing.
Oh,
it made $1 billion in 2 days.
Okay,
yeah.
so million.
They sold millions of copies, but they were expecting it to sell like 10 million copies, and it didn't.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking. Like, they sold 3 million copies, but they were expecting it to sell like 9 million.
And 3 million for a AAA game is very, very rough. I think, and a lot of people were bugging me in the comments, which talking about how the game was selling. I mean, the game may have made its money back, but I think it's pretty clear that EA stopped putting money into the game at some point and didn't spend as much as they wanted or they could have. Because, they put out the game before it was done.
Well,
yeah,
is there
I
any
think
argument
that technically was a BioWare decision, because EA gave them like another 6-month extension they could use if they wanted, but they didn't, which confused me.
You can extend
from?
the game as much as you want, but
and it may not make it better. Like, they had 5 years to make Andromeda. So.
Oh no, it's not that. It's not just that. But it's if you can extend it as long as you want. But if you don't have that much of a budget to allocate to those extra months, not much else is going to really get done.
That's kind of the idea. Is they'd have to pay 6 more months production, and really, the game was in development for 5 years, but really, it wasn't. It was in development for like 18 months, which is not enough to make a game.
You want to know something fun about that? The very first teaser of Mass Effect Andromeda, that was made before the game was starting development.
I believe that. You're talking about the one at E3 with the dad?
Ghost Riders? Yep.
Yeah, Ghost Riders. And they're like, yeah. So they had the name of the character, and that's it.
Yep.
That's the only thing that survived. This game was going to be...
Also,
well, they had basic story concept, basic story direction.
Well, yeah, they had basic stuff, but if you look at the enemies, they look like robotic kind of things that look like nothing that's in the game.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, the Ket were in there.
Yeah, they look kind of Ketish, kind of.
Like, the outline of the Ket is there, yeah.
It's like an early concept.
Yeah.
So, they weren't working on this game for 5 years. It was on the back burner for like 3.
They had people working on it, but it was a complicated situation, and they didn't get like the final direction until like 2 years before.
I'm looking at it now, and the enemies look a lot more like the Angara than they do the Ket or any kind of remnant that we fight.
Well, it's natural.
Spoilers: the Angara get turned into Ket.
I mean, it's natural for like those things to change over the course of years, but yeah, whatever. I mean, to me personally, like, it's an okay game. It's not a bad game. It's just it's not like BioWare standard.
I really, really loved the gameplay. Really loved it. I thought it was
the gameplay
excellent.
Was awesome.
I can't say I really loved any other aspect of it.
The story for me, the whole entire time I was playing it, including like our preview event and when I got a review copy in my first playthrough, the whole entire time I was like, wow, this game must be huge. Like, I'm expecting all the storylines to get tied up and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this game must be huge. I must be like barely anywhere in it. And then suddenly it's like, oh, the ending is here now?
Yeah.
Now? Okay.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like also Mass Effect 1, the story was short. There were a shit ton of side missions to do, but the story itself was short.
But they answered a lot of the big questions.
Yeah, the story was short, but the story was also good, even though it was short.
It was complete.
You know what happened to the Protheans by the end of Mass Effect 1. It's kind of a big deal. We don't know what happened to the Jardaan.
I mean, I would be okay if we didn't know about the Jardaan, but I would kind of want to know about, like, at least 75% of the storylines get tied up.
And they tied up like 10%, maybe?
Sure.
I think the 4 most interesting storylines were not finished. Which is, well, it's kind of a bummer. So I maintain that they didn't finish the game and that EA didn't really like what they had and did not want to commit extra resources to finishing it up. So they just kind of put it out there, which is, by the way, very common for big publishers. And I have no inside information on this. That is just my assumption. That's just kind of the way these things go. A lot of times when games aren't marketed, it's because the company that's producing it doesn't want to spend money on the marketing. So they just, kind of put it out there, didn't finish it, didn't do that. And that was very, very disappointing from that standpoint. Mm-hmm. One of you guys have a counterpoint to that?
Nah.
I mean, it seems logical. I think it's 10 layers more complicated than that. But
probably.
As a very overall summary, I guess that could fit.
It could.
I mean, again, it's not a bad game. It's just not... I think what happened was, like, they had a lot of talented people on the team. I just think that they didn't have enough animation people, for one. And I think that definitely the writers were unleashed on it not soon enough. So I think that, like, you can't point blame at any one
everything
person.
Indicated to a huge time crunch, right?
Yeah.
Like an enormous time crunch where they were... really huge ideas that had nowhere near the amount of time needed to complete them.
And I think that because it was given to Montreal versus like the flagship of Edmonton, that they didn't have enough people on it, maybe? Or there were, I mean, I don't want to necessarily say that just because they gave it to Montreal, that's the reason that it didn't do well, because there's a number of other factors. And I know a lot of people on the Montreal team that were really good at what they did. So I think that there's not one reason why this game wasn't AAA quality amazing. I
expect, and this has been out there according to some sources from Kotaku, it's got to be really, really hard to put together a game from 2 very separate locations.
A lot of studios do it.
Yes.
No, from that far away?
A lot of studios do it.
Well, the internet transfers things really fucking quickly.
Give
me
some
video
examples.
Conferencing and
give me some examples.
They have video conferencing.
Give me some examples of games that have done well.
Let me see.
I'm
not familiar enough with other studios, but I assume that there's other game companies like Ubisoft that have studios all over.
But usually they're focused in one location and they're headed up in one location. It was just difficult. It's not, the video conferencing is there, but it's difficult to set
They
up
also have,
quick video
I know
conferences.
that there were developers that were constantly flying out to the different studios for meetings and stuff too.
Which takes time.
Yeah.
Like if you're working on something and you need to wait 2 or 3 days to get it approved, that's an issue. It is. You're stuck.
I don't think we know enough of how it worked
This
exactly.
is all speculation.
So,
The Kotaku article on what happened, which we should have a link to in the description box, is Kotaku has an excellent reputation for investigative video game journalism, and
that depends
on who you ask.
Like, for me, I knew about some of the things that happened in that Kotaku article, so a lot of it made sense for me. There's some things that I think may not be totally accurate, but are, like, kind of close-ish. I mean, it's aight.
It's
Why
their
did it go
their
silent?
system, like their studio system, sounds incredibly complicated. Like incredibly complicated. So that might need to be addressed.
I'm back, bitches.
You left?
Yeah, my Skype
Holy
dropped
shit.
out.
I did not know that. That's because you're usually
That's 'cause I'm a
not
ninja.
saying anything and watching at cat videos. So,
I feel like we're kind of negative at the moment. I feel like we should say our favorite thing about the game to kind of lighten the mood.
I did. I mean, the gameplay.
I mean, Minius did. I feel like I need to.
Okay.
Okay, sure. Yeah, the
Jetpacks.
jetpack. I agree with
Which
Tucker.
is
The
part of the
jetpack was
gameplay.
amazing. And as you can see with Anthem, they kind of took that and ran a little further with it because it was so cool.
Although I'm not sure they're connected, but go ahead.
Okay, well, still, I think jetpack was
later
really, really
topic.
cool. The combat was amazing. The story was not the best, but I will say that I did enjoy my experience. So, Reyes, there you go. Favorite part of the game, right there, Reyes.
Where does Reyes rank?
Kadara.
Where does Reyes rank in your BioWare characters?
In my favorite romances of all time? Okay.
No, it doesn't have to be romances, but characters.
Just favorite characters, period?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hard one.
If you were
He's
gonna
definitely
name,
in the top 5, but when
Okay,
you get
that-
in the
that-
top 5, things get really hairy.
That answers it for now. That sounds like a very good future topic.
As in characters that are hairy, or
I
just
didn't
the
see enough of
situation?
Reyes to tell you, so
Yeah, they didn't animate that.
they didn't show that, which is a point of contention for me. But
I'm just imagining the scene just cuts and there's hair.
He takes off his shirt and
It pops out like a
he's
Navy
all
life raft.
like all hair. There's nothing else there.
I kind of wonder if the Andromeda initiative, I don't know, laser waxed everyone before they went into the cryo or something, because everyone is I mean, in every video game, but still,
Yeah,
nothing.
It's probably really hard to do chest hair.
I would
Tucker,
imagine.
is it hard to do chest hair?
I mean, if it's hard to do head hair, it's probably hard to do.
I mean,
other
I
hair.
have difficulty growing
like-
chest hair.
like-
I don't know what.
Chest hair isn't.
You talking about a game in real life? Are we growing chest hair?
If it's hard
or
to
are
do
we-
head
what do
hair,
you-
then I think it's hard to do any other kind of hair.
Hair and water are typically the most difficult things to properly animate and make. And
They had some good
make
water.
Look
I
realistic.
will say that. That is a point. I
Yeah.
did like the water that was there. Some of it was red and never explained why it was red, but still cool.
But typically, water and hair are what companies will use to show off how well their animations or visuals. I remember that when Tomb Raider was coming out, the reboot, that was a whole thing. Was look at her hair, look at how well it flows.
I thought of something
Something
else
like
too that I probably should get into. Something I really liked the art direction of the game. The way things looked, the way technology looked, the overall feel. They didn't finish it up, but things looked cool. And I'm
You
not
mean
talking
just,
about the
just
graphics.
the kind of
I'm just talking
direction
about
they
like,
went with it,
the
the
aesthetic.
general
the general aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looked like a really cool. It wasn't quite filled in.
I can see that. For me, for me, textures still don't fully load. Jaal's face now finally actually loads. His skin texture, it took forever for them to patch
Yeah,
that. But
I'm not talking about that particularly. I'm just talking about the art direction. If you're going to give an Oscar, it'd be costumes and set design and that kind of stuff.
okay, their general conceptual,
the conceptual
aesthetic.
things, the conceptual aesthetics, the way the the architecture and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'll
it
agree.
looks,
I like
it looks
that.
very, very cool.
I get that. Yeah.
And I would have liked to see them finish the game. And I'm not even really worried about the animations, which is the big thing on the internet, or even like the character or writing quality. I just wanted the game finished. And there was a really good game in here. It really was. They didn't quite finish it.
I mean, I made a video, and I want to get both of your opinions on it, but did Mass Effect Andromeda deserve all the hate that it got? And a big point that I make is that Mass Effect Andromeda, before the game even came out, it was a joke it was a popular thing to make fun of. And that made it so, like, big YouTubers that never cared about Mass Effect or really cared about playing the game would just make jokes on it just because that was the popular thing to do. And I think that caused a lot of the negativity and hate towards the game.
There's a significant amount of people who really wanted the game to fail and were happy when it did.
Yeah, no, yeah, there really were. And
yeah,
the game had issues. That is obvious that there were issues with the game. But it felt like a lot of people wanted it to fail, and they kept pushing it over and over and over to the point where it became the popular thing to make fun of this game. And that was even before the game came out.
That's the
thing, too. That was before the game came out.
That's where a lot of my frustration came from, is that like just people were excited. I don't understand that concept. Why are you?
They were excited that it was.
Why are you rooting against entertainment?
Wouldn't you want an amazing, kick-ass game to play? Does that not excite you?
Like, are you glad that people are disappointed in their product, or that jobs are potentially lost? What the hell?
Yeah, it's like, are you happy that people that spent 2, 3, 4, 5 years of their life working on this is now worthless?
Yeah,
because there are people that spent like 5 years of their lives working on this game, and you're happy and excited that what they spent 5 years of their life on is being rated terribly?
Some of that's got to come back to the Mass Effect 3 ending. And that
I think a lot of it does. Yeah, the Mass Effect 3 ending was like a salt bomb that bred salters that are just gonna salt
there are people who are never gonna get over that.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who'd never played Mass Effect that talk about how terrible Mass Effect 3 is, the ending, without any experience, and that bled over to Andromeda.
Yeah, they were gonna have to nail this game, and they made a good game, but like they didn't nail it. It was such a tough spot. I mean, how do you make a sequel to that? Really? And you played Mass Effect 3. How do you make a sequel to that? Or a continuation? It's just really rough.
Something that honestly really worries me and scares me is that in the comments of a few of my videos, and I've seen on the internet too, is that people saying they hope Anthem fails because Mass Effect wasn't as good as it could have been.
Yeah, people think that Mass
scares
Effect Andromeda was trashed in order to put all the effort into Anthem or something.
But that scares me because that if they want that and everything, it's just going to repeat. The cycle's just going to repeat. Anthem, I feel like Anthem's going to be a great game. Am I happy that is a good reason as to why Andromeda didn't do as well? I'm not happy about that, but I don't want Anthem to fail because of it.
You know, I've actually seen, I was kind of surprised, I've actually seen more positivity for Anthem than I did for Mass Effect Andromeda at this stage in marketing. Like, I've seen a lot of positivity, and I'm kind of surprised.
Well, that's because the first thing with marketing with Anthem was gameplay.
They showed a vertical slice way early, which they didn't.
That is true.
While Andromeda, they didn't show gameplay till like 2 years after they announced
the game. They didn't show gameplay until 3 months before the game came out. Seriously,
yeah,
3 months.
It was really right before the end there.
And
they never did they show the character creator before we got our hands on it?
Nope. No, that was the first time we ever saw it.
Yep, they didn't show the character creator before. With Dragon Age Inquisition, which did have a good character creator, they did show before. So that's something to keep in mind. If they're not showing it, there's probably a reason.
I am just worried that people are going to rip and hate and just give negative reviews to Anthem strictly because of Andromeda. And that worries me.
I think it's more than Andromeda, but
I think if they just make it a really, really good game, then people are still going to do that. But I think that the majority will just be like, oh, those are just salters going to salt, whatever. So I think that if they just make it a really, really good game, then they'll be fine. But it is at a crucial point to where, like, they had Dragon Age Inquisition, which was pretty good. Then they had Andromeda, which didn't do too good. So I think that they need to do really, really well with Anthem. And I'm really hoping that they show off the story components and the single player really, really strong the next time they show it off, because that's the only area that I'm kind of concerned about, because they didn't show any of that really with what they showed so far. And they've been working on it for like 5 years already, so I kind of want to see that part.
I think you can make an argument, and we'll see how vigorously you guys disagree, that the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 BioWare games have disappointed in some capacity. Going all the way back, you got Mass Effect Andromeda that we've talked about a lot, right?
I would say so. It started with Dragon Age 2, but I still think Dragon Age 2, for like what tiny development time they had, did really well.
There are reasons for these not doing well. I'm not saying it's not warranted.
Like
but
Dragon Age, Dragon Age 2 got some hate, but I don't know that it was like that bad. People were still it still got full DLC. It still sold really well.
Mass Effect 3 sold well.
Mass Effect 3
but the ending didn't
was
quite cut
great
it.
Up until like the last 20 minutes.
One of my favorite games of all time up until the ending.
Like, best game ever until like the last 20 minutes. The minute you hit that beam,
that too, they had a crunch on that like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Like, that game came out 2 years after Mass Effect 2.
Inquisition, I will say, I think that, I mean, it has some flaws, but it still was a good game.
It's a good game. I mean, it was called Game of the Year,
Tucker
but
wouldn't
it's got
know,
issues.
But it's a good game.
It's got issues, and it also didn't sell as well as they wanted it to.
No, it had the most successful launch of any BioWare game in history.
Still, did not sell as well as they wanted it to for a Game of the Year.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the other game that we don't talk about at all, because I don't know if any of us have actually played too much of it. Star Wars The Old Republic, which largely... It came out at a bad time.
I've played that a few times,
I've played a little.
I never got past level 15. I have like 4 characters in it, but I've never gotten past level 15.
I started it, and I started with that like new expansion thing, which I probably shouldn't have. But I started playing it, and I played it for a good while, and I was like, oh, this is not bad. But the thing is, I am horrible with keyboard controls. If they had it to where you could like plug in a controller, I would totally play the whole entire thing. Like, I've looked up stuff online, and it's all right, but...
The issue there really not with the quality of the game at all, really that the fact it's an MMO that was worked on during the height of people working on MMOs, and there was an enormous crash in the MMO market. That game came out at the worst possible time.
I mean, the issue for me whenever I play that is I'll play that, and I'll go, this is fun. I want to play RuneScape.
That's tougher.
Yeah, no.
That's just.
I mean,
tougher.
obviously, people aren't thinking RuneScape, but they're playing it and they're like, I'd rather play another MMO. And
like World of Warcraft.
People are still playing the shit out of that game.
Yeah, I played that too.
But dude, it's been like over 10 years.
I've promised myself that I will never touch it, because I know that the minute that I do, my life will disappear around me.
I think you do okay.
Do it.
I think you'd be okay.
No, that's what you do. But
Just
do the free trial.
I also agree with you. You're trying to become a real boy. You got to not do that.
What?
He wants to become a real boy. He's got his like backup doctor degree coming.
I've got life plans that I intend to pursue.
You can't do that and play in an MMO. It's just doesn't work.
I can't become a BioWare writer and
you can't with that attitude.
Play MMOs all day. Yeah.
Like you're going into video game development, so you're able to do that. But
I mean, I can, but I'm also working while playing it.
So anyway, there's a lot of the point that I started on. There's a lot of animosity that's built up for a whole bunch of different reasons, and yes, it is negatively affecting things, which is unfortunate.
Do we want to get to questions?
Can I pose a question before we get to the email questions?
Yes.
Sure. So, just like briefly, would you, down the line, want another Mass Effect game?
Yes, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We're all in agreement. Like,
it's what that game is. Yeah. It's gotta do some things, though.
Yeah.
Which I think we can get into in our next show.
I think it really needs to tickle my fancy.
I don't agree with that at all, which we will get into on the next show.
Ooh,
You don't. You don't want it to tickle your fancy?
I thought you said fantasy. Okay.
No, I said tickle my
Okay,
fancy.
fantasy.
I have a fun idea for
don't-
the next show. Like, I'll take kind of plot points that were not included that were in the trilogy that weren't in, like, kind of reoccurring plot elements that were in the trilogy that were really good that weren't in Andromeda. Maybe we'll do a little discussion on that. Bring the fiction in. What's up?
We'll get it. Anyway, if you have a direction you would like Mass Effect to go into, for now the email address is andromenerds@gmail.com. You can still send stuff there and we'll get them. And we used to get questions. I think we got questions still.
I think we're going to set up a new email for our next podcast,
which
though,
we
right?
can link those together though, so you can send stuff to Andromenerds and
3.
We can?
I got 4.
Yeah.
Well, I got 4 questions and one kind of interesting email.
Okay,
Let's start with the interesting email. I feel like that's
wait,
a good...
Is there anything I should know then, Tucker?
You have unread messages at your private terminal.
Why are you asking me? Shouldn't you be asking?
She answered for you. I don't know why you're talking now. You didn't hear her?
There are new messages at your private terminal, Commander.
You said. You said. Is there anything I should know?
Yeah,
Tucker?
and then I'm gonna like edit it together and make you sound stupid.
You want to know? No. Here's a fun fact. There is a shark called the green shark, and it lives in the Arctic oceans, and it is blind.
Well, I mean,
It is completely blind, and it also moves like 4 miles an hour. It's very fucking slow. It's also a very ugly motherfucker.
what are
The
you,
more
what are
you
you
know.
doing right now?
You said there's something I should know, so I gave you a shark
Okay,
fact.
are you reading it off like a page, or is that just something you were like?
No, I love documentaries. I fall asleep listening to them.
Okay.
That's how I go to sleep. I will put up a Netflix documentary and then
All
I
right.
sleep.
Questions.
All right. So the first one, which goes perfectly with the weird rant I'm going on, is from a feigned goat. And the tagline for this one is, "Why is Tucker so beastly?" And the email says, "Can you all discuss what you would do when God King Tucker rules the world? Will you fear him as we do the Reapers? Will he bring us tranquility like the Jordan? What will his punishments be for BioFan and Minius for their insolence?"
I don't think you would punish us. I think you would just, like,
I think we'd
be having
miserable,
such a
though.
good time. It would be really weird, but I think we would all, like, be equally confused and, like, happy at the same time if you ruled the world. Like, it would be very weird, but it wouldn't be, like, horrible. It would just be weird.
I fucking love this email.
I see chaos. I see lots of chaos. like it'd be awful. It'd be like a disaster.
I say you guys a picture. Like, this email is real. This person.
Oh,
sent
I
this
know the email's real, but it just,
I don't
like,
doubt that the email is real.
it's,
I'm just hurt that you would punish
And-
us for our insolence.
What's even better is I'm wearing the crown, bitches.
I'm gonna take that crown away right now.
I like to think it'd be fun.
yeah, because you're the one in control. Be fun for no one else. All right. What other kind of questions do we have?
Before we get into the specific questions, there's one that was just kind of a few throughout. How do you feel about Jaal being made bisexual?
Okay, I'm gonna get on my soapbox real quick.
Go.
So the thing is, what they did, great, including representation of the LGBT community. The more the better, in my opinion. Awesome. How they did it, horrible. They should never have done that. Awful. So what happened is Jaal was always intended as bisexual. You can look back in, like, the data mines of the game. He's supposed to be available for both male Ryder and female Ryder because the Angara kind of have a more fluid sexuality thing going on. And so what happened was there was an achievement where you had to romance 3 characters to get it or something, and the only sexual pairing that can do that was male-male romances. And if you look at all of the romances in the game, the male-male romances get less content, have nobody on the squad, etc., really kind of got the short end of the stick. So what BioWare did was they patched in the content that was originally supposed to be there, but they didn't have time to meet Ship. However, what that does, as a result, is kind of open this Pandora's box for the future, for all future characters that aren't bisexual, to where, like, well, why can't you make so-and-so bisexual? You did it for Jaal. Like, why can't you make Core bisexual? You did it for Jaal. Like, just because there was a fan demand to make a character bisexual, a lot of people aren't going to... I mean, a lot of people are going to see that that was originally there, but a lot of people aren't going to see, and I fear that it's going to be the majority, aren't going to see that that was always supposed to be there, so they put it in later. So I just think that it's created this whole big mess, and that it shipped how it shipped, and it should have been that way, but then continuing from there should have been kind of like a development of his sexuality, you know, like people do. Like, for example, Caden, Mass Effect 1 and 2, he wasn't openly bisexual. You can romance him as female Shepard, but then in Mass Effect 3, he kind of develops his sexuality over time, and it's something that felt like fine. Like, it's who he is. So I feel like that decision to patch it in is going to really come back to bite them later. Again, like, what they did, great. Inclusion, awesome. How they did it, horrible. There's my soapbox.
Does that answer your question?
I just kind of wanted to point in that
okay.
I'm kind of fine with that, because it's not like they fully did this because of the lack of representation.
No, that's kind of why they did it. It's because a lot of people were super upset because the male-male romances got the short end of the stick. Is pretty much why they patched it in.
And it's also kind of a thing of, like, people that only want to be gay characters can now get that achievement, which is get 3 romances. But it's...
At the same time, it opens the door later for there to be a lot of controversy. Do you see?
Yeah,
what they did is great, but how they did it is bad.
Again, yeah, I'm on that side too. I'm kind of mixed. Like, I think it's great because all of the assets were already there. They just compiled everything together and got it to work. It's just that it was kind of weird timing, and people are also complaining that it's very late into the patches. I think their priority were to fix bugs first.
I have nothing to add. It doesn't bother me at all, but then I can totally see problems with it. There's other issues with this game, though, so yeah, I can totally see them. They just didn't finish it, and they wanted to put it out the way they want. That's fine with me.
And then, in addition to that, if you have Jaal who's bisexual because he's an Angara, like they're trying to pin it on the lore, kind of, why isn't Avela bisexual? She's only available for male Ryder. If they're trying to pin it on the Angara. So, I don't know. It's just, I don't think they should have done it this way. I think that's going to come back to bite them, but...
We'll see. It's not the first time they've kind of caved to fan demand, which I'm not sure is the way to go.
I mean, I think that obviously you need to listen to your market, but I think that you also need to be smart in what you do with how you've listened to your market. I don't think that this was a good decision, personally. But then, again, if like they're never going to make another Mass Effect game again, it's not going to affect the future Mass Effect ones. But, like, for example, in, like, Anthem or Dragon Age 4, like, you patched in Jaal to be bi, so why can't you patch in so-and-so, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. It's not really up my video game alley. I don't feel like I should have a strong opinion on this.
It's okay. I've got enough soapbox
I figure
that I can
your
cover
soapbox
it for
is,
the podcast.
like, really, really tall.
Yes,
and
it is a
for
very
some
large
reason,
soapbox.
Your soapboxes are huge, and there are still soapboxes, which is bizarre.
Some very large soap, yeah.
Like, it's like an enormous block of soap, like something really creepy. Imagine getting like a 500-pound block of soap. What would you do with that?
Get really clean?
How clean could you get, though? At some point, like, it would just, like, melt your skin. Like if you wanted to use it all.
Like, I don't know, I would do, like, a slip and slide on it. Like, I'd imagine
that
that's
does sound
big. You get, like, the water hose and kind of spray it down a little bit, then just kind of, like, slip and slide.
Like, cut it together and create a gigantic slide.
Build an entire water park out of this gigantic soap.
I kind of want this. I kind of want this now. I take it back. What other questions do we got?
All right. Let's see. If Andromeda gets a sequel, what squad mates and crew do you think would be returning? From Noah Casimir.
Boy,
I think that they should do, like, other than maybe, like, Suvi and Callow and, like, kind of, like, the crew, I think that they should go with a pretty new squad.
I feel like PB would make a return. They seem to have the Asaris always returning.
I would like to... I mean, I liked PB. Out of all the squad mates, I feel like she was, like... The problem with a lot of the squad mates is they didn't get enough, like, emotional scenes. I feel like it was far too casual for, like, what screen time they had. It was too casual. So they didn't end up looking as great of characters as they actually were. PB, I think, though, because of the way that her personality is, came off better in those casual moments. So I would like PB to return. I think that the rest of, at least squad mate wise, should be new.
Yeah, I could see them switching stuff up. If they were to do that, it might work. They kind of need a new direction, right?
Yeah.
So that would.
So new
fit in
squad
with
mates
that.
can help with that new direction.
Yeah.
Or PB can go in literally any direction, so she could, I guess, fit there too.
I mean, now here's the thing. Does it count as squad mates as, like, they will be in your squad again, or will they come up kind of like Liara in Mass Effect 2?
I'm fine with cameos, like that's fine. But
my
in terms
assumption
of
is squad mates, right?
Yeah, I was talking about squad mates.
You can run into these characters. It's not like they'll disappear, which would be bizarre.
I would be quite confused if we never saw any of them. So
yeah, I think it kind of works both ways.
That, and with the Jardan thing, PB kind of would be very interested, I think. So it makes sense. This should be there.
All right, let's see. From Fight Monster 118, hey guys, what things about Ryder did you like in this game more than Shepard in the trilogy?
Personality. There's actually a personality.
I liked, like, the humorous dialogue options. I feel like there wasn't a large emotional range, but I feel like the humor was done really well. Like, you could be kind of like a, like, funny, sarcastic-y writer really, really well. I really liked Tom Taylorson's, like, kind of casual, funny dialogue a lot. So I liked that. That, and I liked the way that Ryder looked more than my Shepard did, because Shepard was really hard to make a really hot Shepard, but it was not too hard for me to make a really hot Ryder. So
Shepard was kind of even if you're nice or Paragon, it just, like, really felt
too militant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he or she is a Marine, and that's that. It's a very narrow box, even though you can kind of go in different directions. But I liked Ryder a lot more as a character.
I mean, I liked that Ryder. It felt fresh in the start instead of, like, with Shepard, you had this past where you were already this badass person. With this, you're creating your badass person.
I think that they needed, with Ryder, maybe some more, like, sadder lines or angrier lines. Like, there was a lot of very, like Ryder never seemed to get that upset.
Yeah.
Or didn't have the option to get upset.
You get upset with some stuff. Yeah, but you're right, yeah.
But, like, you couldn't be an asshole Ryder. Like, that wasn't there. Like, there wasn't, like, options to be mean to people.
I mean, you could tell your sibling that your father died and that Andromeda was a failure, and that was the only sad line I could think of.
Yeah. All right, let's go with one more.
All right. The last one is from Dan Lawyer, and it is, what are your favorite quotes from the game?
Wow.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. PB's, like, nomad banter, just all of it. But I'm trying to think.
Yes, the one where she's, like, faking an orgasm.
Maybe
to see
not
if Jaal
that
is
one.
asleep or awake.
But
no, that one was funny as fuck. That whole setup.
My favorite
thing.
one is, like, when they're on Kadara and she's like, I was expecting more, like, ARG pirates, not so much shooty pirates. Like, that one was really, really funny. But just all of PB's nomad banter is, like, the best part of that game. Like, it's kind of sad that the banter was, like, so phenomenally better than the actual, like, character content, you know?
Yeah, was it Ryder making fun of whatever Ket dude was on the first planet? Now I can't even remember. The banter was phenomenal. It's some banter from the Nomad for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I felt like the banter between squad mates was a lot better than they were in previous games.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Like, it was probably some of the best Mass Effect banter.
I loved also the banter between PB and Drac.
I can't think of a line that really jumps at me, though.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to fuck your shit up.
That one was there.
That was great.
All right.
There's not, like, a super iconic line, I don't think. Oh, Reyes' wink. Does that count as a line? Because that was my favorite line. When you're like, how will I contact you? And he's just like, wink. That's my favorite line.
That's
right
definitely
there.
not
That doesn't
a
answer
line.
the fucking question, though. It's like,
it
how
is
will I
on the
contact you?
script.
Wink.
So, you
No,
know.
it's how will I
definitely
contact
not a
you?
line.
Wink. That doesn't
It's
answer.
on the script.
Hold
so
on.
I'm just gonna
BioFan, say his line right now.
Now say it with more emphasis.
If we had face cam, this would be really funny.
Then it would work. It's not, that's my point.
It's a line, but it's a non-verbal line.
Okay, so next up, this has been the last Andromenerds podcast.
Dun, dun,
What a disaster.
dun.
We are
Really? I thought it was fantastic.
We are moving. The fact that Andromenerds is ending. We are moving to the BioWare podcast. Help you become aware of BioWare.
Woo!
I'll come up with a better tagline, or maybe not. I'm not that creative. Shoot, I need to take us out. So we don't have a good outro for this because everything's changing.
Do we want to just talk about what we've done lately?
I've done nothing.
Okay, so Minius has done nothing. Tucker, what have you done lately?
I've been playing the VR games on the HTC
I'm in on your
Vive.
channel.
And I've been doing some Anthem videos. I have an Anthem video planned about the wish list of 4 abilities, like a list of offensive ones we want, defensive, and support.
Cool. I just did my first news video for news coverage of Anthem. So, like, every single thing we know about the game, it's all in there. It's only 5 minutes long, so I kind of wish we knew more about the game.
Are there Quarians in it? I saw Quarians.
I saw that there aren't.
I saw Quarians in the gameplay. I saw them. I saw Quarians. They were there.
Next
very
podcast,
clear.
we need to decide on what we're naming the wall bear. I vote wall bear.
Wall bear.
That was the first tweet I sent out when Anthem came out. It was like, BioFan, quick, we need to think of a name for this.
Wall bear!
Wall bear!
Wall bear!
So stick around. In a couple weeks, we will be back as a new podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for coming back after a couple months. We really appreciate you guys checking us out.
Love
Goodbye.
you, peoples. Goodbye.
Bye.
So, wait. So
I'm
that was
doing
the
heart
outro?
hands. You can't hear it, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
You can clap like that. They can hear that.
I'm doing heart hands, though.
You can clap your heart hands.
What?
I feel like that would hurt.
How?
Like this? Yeah.
How
this
do you
kinda
do
hurts.
that?
Ow.
No, there's
Like
no
I'm-
way
like
to
I'm
clap
hitting my
like that.
knuckles? Like,
There's
ow.
no way. Yeah.
It'll be like taps. Like,
No, that doesn't make
That
any
kind of
noise.
hurts. Ew, no. Stop
No.
what you're doing, Tucker.
That doesn't work.
how does it hurt? What are your
My
No, it
knuckles
doesn't-
are like, ew, that's,
are your bones made of glass?
My phalanges are like knocking each other, and it's like, ow.
Phalanges.
I think it's fine.
You fancy pants doctor.
Well, let's save that for the bioawareness podcast.
Is it
Okay, so
Is it going to be BioAwareness podcast or the BioAware podcast, or are we
I like
going to
I like
BioAware.
BioAware. Yeah, I like
BioAware.
BioAware.
It has to be like the BioAware because BioAware podcast sounds whatever. It's not going to sound good, which is hilarious.
And what's even better is if we want to do a shirt of that, I would love to have one of those and walk around my college that is video game based, and people be like, "Wait a second."
We mean like with the same font, but just the A added in there, and then like instead of like a division of EA, have it a podcast.
I think that font is trademarked, by the way.
I feel like this is the first day of like kindergarten, and they're like, "Tell your name and what's one of your favorite kind of animals."
I'm not sharing my crayons.
Ooh, can we do that anyway? I really like wolves.
Wolves, okay.
Dude, I like foxes. Those are
Yeah,
pretty nice.
I like
Maybe
foxes.
a bear, but I don't want to be too close to it.
I'm a fox person as well. My favorite. Let's go.
All right,
we're fox people.